Africa Google Hangout with me, Vera Kwakufi.
And me, James Smart. The BBC is hosting a series of global debates today for 100 women talking leadership, image, and relationships. Now, for the BBC Africa Google Hangout, you're asking, can Africa women in leadership accept roles in leadership?
Well, our guests are Tabitha Mukami Muigai Karanja, who's a Kenyan businesswoman. She's the founder and the current CEO of Keroche Breweries. It's the first large brewery in Kenya that's not owned by a multinational company. She joins us from Nairobi.
Well, that's Dr. Sylvia Vito, who's also supposed to be joining us. But we're joined by Dr. Bettina Ama Boohene-Andah, who joins us from Accra, Ghana. She was the personal physician of former President John Kufuor. She's the author of a book entitled The President's Physician, Bumps on a Smooth Road. She's also recently traveled around Ghana with a project called Story of Our Lives, mentoring and advising young women in both rural and urban settings.
And last but by no means the least, in Abuja, we have journalist Glory Uzuamaka. Thank you very much, ladies, for joining us on this BBC Africa Google Plus Hangout. Now, let's start with an icebreaker question, and I'll start with you in Abuja. What was the overwhelming response to you taking up a leadership position?
It was... would it be overwhelming, or can she do it? It was a feeling of, can she do it? Why should it be a she doing it and not a he? And when you have that following you to where you're headed to, you know, you owe yourself, your gender, and every other minority believer in you that's to do what the other majority would think you can't do. But sensibly.
All right, let's get to Dr. Bettina. Is it the same for you? What were these feelings that you thought that people around you felt, you know, with you being in a leadership position, such a prominent role?
Well, I mean, it's never been done in Ghana where a woman is taking up this position. So you can imagine, with my age as well, that didn't help. I was very young, in my mid-30s, when I took up this position. So I was the youngest and only female. So everybody wondered, why her? There are so many professors, you know, white-bearded people who can take up this job. Why this young girl? What does she have that others don't? So obviously, it wasn't only males who felt that way. Some females felt that way as well. And can she do it? Because it's a very physically taxing position. So I think they wondered, and probably rightly so.
And you, Tabitha, in Nairobi, the overwhelming reaction to you taking over that role at Keroche? Oh, it looks like we've lost Tabitha for the time being. What I'm getting, James, is a sense of doubt, which was the first reaction that these women got in attaining their roles. Bettina, did it make you doubt your own abilities and question why you deserve that job?
Well, initially, when you get this overwhelming response and an overwhelming negative response, you're human and you start wondering whether you're up to it. But in no time, I had to be up to it because the task had been put before you, and it's an opportunity many people would have wanted to have. And I just rose up to the task, and I always had it in the back of my mind that I wasn't going to allow the naysayers to have the better of me. However, I mean, I was capable anyway. That's why I was chosen. And therefore, it had nothing to do with my gender. I just rose up to the task and carried on with it for the period I served.
And Glory, for you, is it the same? I mean, I suppose working as a journalist is a bit more exposed. Is it the same, or is it something that is industry specific, you would say?
It's not just about working as a journalist. It's about living in a world that centuries over has been twisted as a man's world. And I keep saying, a man's world. A woman is a woo with a man, which means a man who has a womb. So why are we tagging it a man's world? It starts with that. It might have some different storyline, but every day I wake up, I hit it running. Because if I want what they have, then I have to work more than they work.
James, let me ask you, is it a man's world in Africa?
A man with a womb, as she puts it, it's very interesting, and I think we have to confront the reality that our African society, as it was put together, as we know it, and as we've lived, has been such that we had defined roles for men, which was initially to go and find food and fetch for the family, and for the women to stay home and take care of the family. Now, over time, things have changed. You know, it's no longer this perceived role that the males have to go out and find food anymore, that women go out and find food as you like.
Actually,
right?
more of them do.
And more of them
than
do.
the women.
And so I think the question is, can the African societies accept this over time, the change of the society, the evolvement of the society, and accept the new roles that women are getting into, and how we integrate that and not be, I think the men, be intimidated by it. I think that's the question. And I think that's the most interesting thing.
What's been your observation, though?
I think there's two things going on. I think there's intimidation in the sense that, what will this person do that I cannot do as a man? All right, that's one. And then the second is this: a sense of the men feel that they're losing their own place in the table, and say, well, we are the ones who are supposed to go out and fetch, and now women are fetching as well. Our sisters, our mothers are fetching as well. And that's problematic in that sense. And I think our society needs to evolve to a sense of saying that, not have this scarcity mentality, as it were, and say there's plenty for everyone, that men actually can, by women getting what's rightfully theirs, does not mean men are being displaced. I think that's what needs to be confronted in this discussion.
Let's
James,
get some of our
James,
guests
James,
back
if I
on
can
the
say
line
something.
to talk about this. Bettina, your thoughts. Are we displacing men by trying to attain equality or some measure of respect as women?
Well, I mean, James has said many things in this short period of time. I don't think the men shouldn't feel threatened. I wouldn't feel threatened at all. I mean, we visited a very senior person when we went on this trip going around the country, and it was amazing how he thought that why aren't women also, why aren't men also being spoken about? I mean, why aren't we talking about men? And men feel threatened. And so coming from him is not surprising. But as he has rightly said, I mean, the men keep saying, why am I not going out to fetch? And why is the woman now going out to fetch and all of this? But then they enjoy it as well, because now when you're married, you have two incomes coming in. So on one hand, you're wondering why the men are being isolated, and on the other hand, you're enjoying the benefit of having the second income coming in. So for me, it's a double-edged thing, but they shouldn't feel threatened at all. We're not asking for superiority. We are not asking to take over. We are asking to be treated equally, and equality. That's what I think. I don't know what you think in the studio, Vera. You have stayed on the edge.
Well, I think we should ask Vera that question. Do you feel that if you take a position of leadership, you're displacing a man?
No, I don't think so. I think there's room for everybody to succeed. But what I do believe is that, as you rightly said, whether it's in Western society or for us in the South, societies have thrived on people having defined roles, and those roles have been defined, or those societies have largely been defined by men and what has been convenient for them. And even colonialism, I was reading some of the 100 Women tweets, and I saw a tweet from Samoa, which I thought was really interesting, where somebody was arguing that even in colonialism, men have picked what works for them and incorporated that and called that culture, even though it's not indigenous to them.
Yeah.
So societies have created cultures that have been convenient for men. And so now I think that it's important that we realize that women have an equal role to play in those societies, in shaping those societies, and that, if it weren't the case, we wouldn't have created men and women. That they bring different qualities to life in society, and that people have to ensure that you start off with a level playing field and the fittest survive. So this situation where you have to disadvantage somebody to make yourself feel superior is what causes problems. Let's all have a level playing field and see who survives.
Absolutely.
I bet you would be with a woman, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if we can now be joined by Tabitha Karanja. And yes, there, finally. Tabitha, you're one of the, I would say, strong personalities in Kenya, not just being a woman, but a strong personality, because you've gone out and started a business in what is perceived to be a male-dominated industry, and you've gone out and carved a niche for yourself, carved a niche for your market, and even when you're being disadvantaged, quote in quotes, you've gone out and put a brave face as any other person would. How have you, if you do, to bring your experience, how do you find yourself in this industry, and what's your overwhelming, I would say,
the reception
that people have of your leadership and your business?
Oh, such a shame. We can't hear Tabitha. We'll try and correct that and get back to you, Tabitha. But one of the things you talk about is the perception whether African. I mean, maybe I should come to you, Glory. Do you think, as James may have alluded, that men feel threatened by women in leadership, and what would be the cause of that?
Oh, you're talking to me?
Hi, Glory. Yes.
Tabitha?
Can we?
James? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
we
you
can.
can. Yes, we can.
Yeah.
We've got Tabitha.
Yes.
Fantastic, Tabitha. Good to hear from you. James was asking about the reception you got when you took over as CEO of one of the largest breweries in Kenya, one that's not owned by, the only one not owned by a multinational. What was the reception towards your role?
Yes, I can say that I've been lucky because I've been one of the founders. And so whatever I've been fighting for, I believe even if it was a man, he still have fought the same way, because these are a market that was monopolized for over 80 years. So coming in to break that monopoly, it didn't matter who it was, whether it's a man or a woman. But then as a woman, you need to work a little bit harder, at least for people to pay attention to you as a woman and to believe that you can break where they believe that it was a male-dominated industry. And I think after having done what I've managed to do and having worked a little bit harder, I now have gained that respect that every CEO or founder that deserves.
But I find it interesting that you had to go out of your way to carve your own path to be able to reach where you've got to and to generate the respect that maybe should have accorded to you because of your skills or your knowledge. It's quite interesting that you had to create your own to gain that respect.
Yes, I think also the culture in Africa. You know, it has been that women are just there for, they are known for being in the kitchen, get married, get your kids, and take care of your family. So the minute now you take it different, and you say you also to take part in growing the economy of your country or your continent. Again, there as a woman, being the first generation maybe to do this, it has taken time. For even people, like me, I've taken 18 years for people now to accept. Wow. It's true, you work hard.
Wow, 18 years.
So, just final question I'm asking before we get a view of other panelists. Do you think, in your view, if it was a man who was in that position, would they have gotten a different reception? Would they have taken lesser time to get where you've gotten?
No, my case, James, I even feel maybe being a woman was an advantage because I felt it was a man, this competition, the way it was, maybe it could have been swept the past 5 years. But being a woman, waking up, talking, telling people what I'm trying to do, creating employment, growing the economy of this country, and calling the people that we need to invest in our own country, not only to rely on the foreign investors. I think people have listened to me more than they would have listened to a man. But of course, for you, the leadership, the people that you've created, the team that you've created, I'm sure it has taken time for people to accept that you are a real leader, like the way the other male people are. But it's definitely after you prove, they're really ready to accept you. And even now, as I walk, they tell me, they forget even I'm a man, I'm a woman. They tell me that if we had 10 men like you, Tabitha, I think we can change this world. Yeah. So I think we just need to work that a little bit harder, as the other pastor speaker said. And then when we work a little bit harder, it's proven that we can do it. And then we take off. And then what you're saying about that men feel that we're taking over, I think it's just a surprise that we women we are able to do it now. That's all that
Thanks very much. Thanks very much, Tabitha. Actually, Glory in Abuja, Tabitha makes a point about society's expectations, and I wanted to get your opinion on this. Do you feel that you've had to conform to your society's accepted norms to gain respect as a leader?
Yes, especially for me being in the Rika industry. You know, in Africa, Rika industry is known just for men. Men are the ones who go to the bar and all that. So for you waking up and saying that you're talking of alcohol, not about church, right? Telling people to go to church and all that. So for that to be accepted, I feel that is maybe the hardest part that I've tried to break. Because now even the pastors, when I'm about an issue, they keep on telling me, Tabitha, we are praying for you. I've really been accepted across the board, yeah. But I agree, you need to work a bit harder, maybe 5 times than what a man does. And then, of course, balancing. So that when you balance, the people see that you're taking care of your family the right way, they'll accept you and they'll support you.
All right, let's get the view from Abuja as well. And this brings a question of, what Tabitha talks about, and I want to get your view, Gloria. The question of women working hard to get there, or should there be some sort of like a quota system? Should we give women some sort of a platform for them to make it, or, go out and work hard like yourself?
That whether women should be given a platform. Or a
We're hoping to get the opinion from Abuja, from Glory.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I think we have a bit of a issue there with sound from Abuja. I don't know if Accra, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you clearly.
Can you jump into that conversation there?
Well, I listened very clearly to what Tabitha said, and I totally agree with her. I'm not so sure about the quota system. I've read about it, and I know it has worked in other places. However, we tried it, not so much giving it that name, but even politically here, one party in Ghana tried something similar, saying that, if you're a woman, you're going into parliament. Yes, they give you sort of a rebate on what you pay, but then they tried it. They asked the men to kind of back off for the primaries, and hopefully the woman could get the position without having to work for it. And the backlash was totally, it was even coming from the women. So I'm not so sure. Apparently, I think it's worked in. No, I don't think it will work so much. I don't think we're ready for that here, because we are still trying to get to grips with fitting in somehow. And if the men are again asked to step down virtually and say, this is a woman, take her because she's a woman, that comes with its own problems. Is she capable? Is she fit for that position? And all those are important. We should look at that as well. So I'm not very much proponent of the quota system, as you mentioned.
Bettina, would you feel you deserved your place if you benefited from a quota system policy?
I've always said that, I'm a capable human being and not necessarily a capable woman. And therefore, my capabilities, are not in doubt. So if I benefited from that system, when you benefit from the quota system because it is being used where you are, you have to make sure that you are fit to be in that position. And in my case, I would have had no problem whatsoever being put there and, saying that, okay, we've had 5 men serve sitting heads of state, and therefore we need a woman. If they put me there, I would still rise up to the task, and I don't think I'll have any problem with that at all. In that case, I would have loved the quota system, but I still
but you got there anyway.
I got there anyway, with or without the quota system.
Yeah. Maybe Nairobi, because we're still having problems with.
I think. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. First
we've got Glory back.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back. I almost thought that the Minority Report had doing in this.
I can assure you, we're not putting a quota system. Yes, we are not.
Okay. When James brought his perspective on about men feeling intimidated and all, he was just speaking like an African man.
Mm.
He was. He was totally being an African man.
I was giving an opinion.
From centuries down till now, your great-grandmother worked, your great-grandfather took the credit. Grandmother took the credit. I'm sure your grandmother died first before your grandfather. That's why she died early too, because he had to stay. And then, we were fanning all the embers and they were feeling all good with themselves. It was all good. But we now woke up and we said, okay, we have worked hard enough. Just tell us thank you. Or when they say, Mr. James, you did so good, just say, no, that was my wife. But, that's why I married her. You still have your credit, and we have our own, and we're all good with that. So going down, flip over. First they ask, can she do it? Then they see she's doing it. And then they're amazed. How did she do it? And then they all join. Oh, she did it. That's just the answer to that. Men feel intimidated where it was already earmarked that the man was the breadwinner, the woman was the bread eater. But now women are winning the bread and men are eating the bread, and it becomes a problem. You now feel uncomfortable because that maleness in you is now chiseled and brushed, and you just want to be the man. Oh, I'm the man of this house. I'm the head of the house. And you forget I'm the neck of the head, and I'm turning you left and right. How we live together. So we have to learn to give credit to those who are working hard, who are the women. Now, coming to the quota system.
Yeah.
I am not a quota system person. And I was just telling a group of women who we were talking about this Good Girl series together, that one said, create a leveling play field. No, she said, give women a level playing field. And I told her, nobody is going to give you. Landscape your play field and play on the field. That is where the world is going. If you give me because you think, oh, okay, we need a woman here, let's bring her in to fill up that quota, you might not respect my views. When I bring it on board, you might be telling me that, okay, we just brought you here. But if I got there on merit, because you didn't look at my gender when we were doing everything, you will respect the view I bring on board.
Absolutely. Just let me bring a comment from Facebook here, and John Achuluve says, women's rights are to be respected and they are to be given that chance to compete with men in leadership positions. I do support the idea. And I get the view from the panel is this idea of being given is problematic. I don't know what Nairobi thinks about this. Do you think that if you're given your position, given being the keyword here, you'd still command the same respect, the same attention, and you'd be where you are?
Yes, I do. I believe that. But all what we need, what we need is to empower the women. is empowering the women, because initially we were taught that women are not supposed to be leaders. So as early as it is from school, can women be empowered so that now when they come up, they understand that they are supposed just to do the same way that the men are doing. That's what I can say.
I mean, let's start with you, Bettina. If you had one piece of advice to give your young self that you can share with the rest of, African women, what would it be?
We shouldn't. I will go back to my quote, which I used during my tour around the country. I told the young girls that don't see yourself as a capable woman, see yourself as a capable human being. Go in there knowing that you can do it. If somebody else has done it, whether they're male or female. And the other thing I would say is that don't go screaming, kicking, fighting. Go there and show that you're capable. Because what women tend to do, and I use this phrase advisedly, is that they go in there already on the offensive, and when you do that, you put everybody off, including your fellow women. So just go there and just go and do what you are good at. Show them that you're good at it. People have done it, and you can do it too. So we need to balance it. It shouldn't always be on the offensive and try and prove yourself. Yes, we have to work 5 times as hard, but the results will be obvious if you're capable in your position.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bettina Andah. We also had Tabitha Karanja from Nairobi and Glory Uzuamaka from Abuja. Thank you very much for joining us on this BBC Africa Hangout on 100 Women Day. We've been talking about whether Africa can accept women in leadership roles. What the conclusion here has been that the society is evolving. Women need to play their part.
Absolutely.
Women don't want to be given roles. We want to be given a level playing field for us to show our worth.
All right.
I've been Vera Kwakufi.
And I'm James Smart. It's been absolutely fascinating.
And join us in the conversation. It's 100 Women on the BBC.
Thank you.